Everyone loves sex, and so many people love porn. But everybody wants to look down on those sex workers that brings them pleasure. Keep watching this video for Jay's views on dating sex workers, porn, and more.
Porn is the most consumed type of content in the world, like over religion, over everything. People love porn because it's like a huge blessing. Like human pleasure, physical pleasure is one of the best things that exists in life. People can say whatever they want about it, yap, but there's no real arguing with it, right? Human violence and war and fighting and stuff is not great. Human unity and pleasure and getting together and playing and enjoying each other is the opposite. It's fantastic. So yeah, that's why people like porn. Human pleasure is absolutely incredible and evolutionarily undeniable. It's in everything. It's in the DNA, it's in our blood, it's in our culture, it's in everything. Like, you just can't avoid it. And at the same time, why they say they don't like it or hide it, our culture has developed into a very shame-driven, repressive, judgy culture. That's just the culture we live in. If you were to go into like some primitive tribes or something, it might be different, right? They're not raised with all this like shame, repression. Maybe they celebrate it. Maybe they have sex rituals and stuff in their tribe. So it's mostly the culture, and Western culture or modern culture is pretty shame-based, shame-driven. And so they have these two conflicting trainings, right? They have like the evolutionary training of loving human pleasure and wanting to celebrate that. They want to indulge in it and explore it and experience it and play with it and feel it. But they also have the cultural drive of not wanting to be ostracized. They don't want to be ejected from society. They don't want to be shunned. They want to maintain their support systems. They don't want to ruffle any feathers. And so there's this other drive to go along with the shame-driven repressive culture they're surrounded by. And so you get this weird dichotomy of loving porn, but always pretending not. So there's a big difference between like an honest preference and a knee-jerk neuroses, like a knee-jerk reaction. If you have an honest preference for dating or an honest dating preference, fine, that's fair. But there's a big difference between that and a knee-jerk dismissal or knee-jerk neuroses that you're allowing to govern your behavior. And usually people can tell. Usually people can vibe it out. If you're non-judgmental and accepting and you don't really have any problem with people and you're happy to like have them around, like you can shake their hand or whatever, like it's cool, but you don't want to date a porn star, that's one vibe. But if you're like, I could never date a porn star and they're in my room and like I'm not gonna shake their hand, like I'm leaving, right? That's not really a preference. That's not cool. And so I assume that what Alicia has a problem with is the judgy, knee-jerk reaction type people. I don't think she has a problem with someone who's like, honestly, dating a porn star is not for me. I have nothing against them. I watch porn myself. I don't think, it's not really a fit. And that's cool. Like, I'm assuming someone like that, she doesn't have a problem with. The ones that would sort of bother you are the judgy McJudgersons. And so again, like the reason they're like that is because they associate a lot of shame and disgust and guilt. They associate these negative feelings with porn and what a porn star does for their job, even though they secretly love human pleasure and like it's in their evolutionary DNA. At the same time, they don't want to be ostracized from the culture. That's super important that they don't lose their support system. No one likes to lose their support system. It's super scary. It feels like you're gonna die. Like, if you're not a bold badass living life on your own terms, not having support system feels like the end of the world. If they have to choose between the end of the world and hating porn, they'll just hate porn stars, right? Like, it's easier and seems safer. So a big part of why people won't date porn stars is just because they're not badass enough. To date a porn star, you have to be badass enough to be like, society, I don't care about all the shame, guilt, and repression. I'm taking a stand and I'm dating this person. There's not that many porn stars on the planet, and there's also not that many badasses on the planet. right? Most people are giant. They don't want to admit it, and they probably don't even realize this is why they're behaving this way. But if they were more badass and they didn't care about support systems, they'd probably just come out and say, I love porn and I'm okay with porn stars and I could date one. But then there's like other reasons too, right? A lot of people believe sex is sacred, and as soon as you stick one genital in another genital, like some kind of crazy thing has happened and occurred, and lines have been crossed that can never be uncrossed, and feelings have been caught that can never be uncaught. And so a lot of people's beliefs around sex itself, monogamy, makes it difficult. But yeah, basically society's like long time obsession with monogamy and privacy and intimacy between two people, they just can't intellectually or emotionally get behind sex involving other people or studio directors or lighting or whoever. And having a relationship with a porn star requires, like I said, it needs a badass, but it needs someone who's like really personally developed, because, for example, you want to have monogamous sex with your partner, and you don't want them to cheat on you or whatever with someone else, but then all of a sudden they're being put in these daily situations where there's other people for work, for money, for their career. And you know, how many people on the planet are mentally and emotionally mature enough to deal with that kind of thing? Now, you might argue it's not that big a deal. Like, most porn stars don't have a problem with it. Like, they get it. They don't make a big deal of it. It's everyone else who's not a porn star that has a problem with it. And so they'll say, hey, it's not a big deal. But because of the repressive, shame-driven society, it is a big deal to everybody else who's not a badass and who hasn't developed themselves in this way. Right? Truth of it is, most people don't develop themselves. They don't become good business people. They don't become great relationship material. So most people aren't able to deal with all the issues and self-growth that's needed to date a porn star. By being a porn star, you're increasing the chances that you'll date a emotionally and sexually mature person. I'm not saying all porn stars are sexually mature and emotionally mature. I'm just saying most of society is off the table. It's not on the list for you. It's not going to be part of the dating pool because most of them just are way too immature to handle it. And I think it would help if more porn stars embraced this. Like, just admit you're a pretty select part of society, and most of society is not that developed. Most of society is not that mature. Most of society won't date you. But that's fine. Like, you only need to date one or two, right? 3, maybe 5. But yeah, you only need one. So it's not about, oh, how come everyone won't date porn stars? It's more about, how can I attract the right kind of people for me? Like, and I mean, I guess it doesn't matter for Alicia. I think she has a long time boyfriend. They seem like a super epic couple. So this is a flip side, right? Because every sex worker who is afraid or hesitant to say what they do makes the problem worse. Because we have a society that is ashamed of all this stuff, and they don't speak up. Like, they don't admit their love of porn because they're afraid of losing their support system. But then we have the sex workers who also don't admit their love of porn because they're afraid of losing their dating prospects. Like, it's two sides of the same coin, and they're both creating the problem, right? And so, like, basically every sex worker has the choice of either coming out and like boldly proclaiming it like Alicia, or, you know, I'll reveal it at the right time, and I'll just wait, and I'll hesitate, and I'm a little afraid, like, they might not like me, and maybe I'll wait till they're ready or whatever. Like, as soon as you've done that, you've joined the shameful people who only secretly say they like porn to one other person when the time's right. Like, it's different than Alicia, who proclaims something loud and proud. Well, if you think about it, since Victorian times, like, things have been getting progressively more open, more sexual, more okay. Still not, right? We still have some crazy, shameful culture, but it's okay to show off more. It's okay to change your gender now. It's okay to be gay, straight, lesbian, back and forth, whatever you want. And now with COVID, a lot of people are turning to OnlyFans and using their beauty and their bodies and to show off and to make a living for themselves. People who've never thought about it previously are dipping into it. So you can see sort of the progression. And to me, it's kind of slow going, but it could be faster, and it's getting faster. And it's open conversations like this that are moving the needle. And not just conversations, but actions. Like people who are living it and doing it are moving the needle. And so I get that it's annoying that people won't date porn stars or sex workers. And I get that, you know, society's kind of lame. Shame is lame. But I'm really happy that it's progressing, and I'm really happy that people like Alicia and Katie and are helping the situation. Okay, so this is kind of a morning rambling video. Hair's a mess, just woke up. But Sin really wanted to hear my thoughts on Alicia's latest post on porn stars and sex work and shame, and I didn't really get into it, but your attitudes on sex affects your attitudes on business. Like hemlines and wealth have always been connected or parallel. And if you want to know more about this, check out the link in the description below. Is good.